Hey, you want to see how Israelis spend millions of dollars infiltrating the highest levels of governments around the world and spreading their bullshit propaganda? Come with me.
It's a very simple, briefly 7-point program where it's an action program where we firmly believe.
That's an Israeli guy, duh, talking to somebody from the Swedish National Christian Party about some kind of a 7-point action plan.
And this is the most optimal way for you as a Swedish National Christian Party to stand side by side with the only democracy in the Middle East, which is Israel.
See, nicely done. Optimal way to stand with the only democracy in the Middle East, Israel, the state of Israel.
The state of Israel, with its thriving democracy, with its thriving diversity most of all.
My man almost choked when he had to say diversity. It's such a foreign word to these guys that it was like diversity, or most of all, diversity.
I would first of all start to analyze and investigate in the corruption affairs of the Swedish Humanitarian Aid Authority, SIDA.
There you go. First point, attack the Swedish Humanitarian Aid Agency so that they cannot help the Palestinians.
Second one, the Swedish Humanitarian Aid, according to the previous former development minister, Gunilla Carlsson, she said, she threatened the Palestinian Authority, the so-called Palestinian Authority.
Second point, still on the humanitarian aid. It's a big fucking deal for the Israelis if you try to help the Palestinians, because it doesn't help Israelis. And of course, one of the top propaganda points, which is the so-called Palestinians, so-called Palestinian Authority, so-called freedom, so-called justice.
By decreasing the annual amount from 720 million Swedish crowns, once again, 720 million Swedish crowns annually to 500 million Swedish crowns. Why should we decrease it? Take it off all the way.
Why should we decrease it? Take it off all the way. Yeah, you'd like it if nobody helped Palestinians at all.
This is money that goes to the not to the poor so-called Palestinians, Arabs.
And again, with the so-called Palestinians.
The third point, the Swedish embassy should not be in Tel Aviv. It should be in the capital of the state of Israel, which is Jerusalem, which is the undivided, the eternal capital of the state of Israel. Undisputed, nothing else to discuss about.
It does sound legitimate when somebody says it's undisputed, nothing else to discuss about it. It does sound very, very true. So this douchebag keeps repeating all of this bullshit, and eventually a lot of people believe it.
The Palestinian embassy of Sweden should be revoked. There shouldn't be a Palestinian embassy.
Point number 4. Delegitimize Palestine by not letting them have an embassy.
They were the only party that said no to the
Bravo.
embassy. Only party in all the other parties said yes. We said first they should be a country, and then they should have an embassy.
Exactly.
Only embassies to country.
When this lady from the Swedish National Christian Party said that they should first become a country and only then they can have an embassy here, you see the joy on this Israeli's face? He's like, yeah, bravo, bravo. You're so stupid, I don't have to explain anything to you. Good, good.
Of course, since we have this propaganda, one of the biggest lies we are sharing in Sweden, unfortunately, is the support of the BDS movement. Why should we boycott factories in Judea and Samaria in the so-called West Bank?
That's the next point, attacking the BDS movement, the largest and most effective boycott against Israel. And while we're talking, let's throw in Judea and Samaria. So-called West Bank, one more so-called thing. You see, these guys are very smart with the propaganda.
If we're gonna close down these factories, who's gonna be without work? It's gonna be the Arabs, not the Jews, not the Israelis.
Wow, that is some Kama Sutra level of gymnastic contortion. If people boycott Israeli products, the Palestinians are going to suffer. I feel like I should be saying bravo, bravo.
The last point is to, once again, to revoke the status that UNRWA shares for the Palestinian refugees.
And the last point is get rid of UNRWA. Basically the largest and the only aid agency that takes care of the Palestinian refugees since the Nakba in 1948. Because this is the only agency in the world that has a complete record of all the Palestinians that have been displaced since 1948. And the only way to justify, kind of, the Palestinians' right to return to their homeland. So if we get rid of the UNRWA, one big problem solved. Anyway, just wanted to share with all of you, these slimy creatures are infiltrating governments all around the world, spreading their bullshit propaganda everywhere, and naturally a lot of people fall for it. What are we gonna do? The more you know, the better.